looking at you kids.
You had me too.
I wish I knew how to quit eating bugs.
This seems so fun.
There's no place like home.
I'm gonna make him an offer down with you.
And welcome to another episode of Gone with the Wind. It's going to be a fun episode. We've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We've got a bunch of trailers, got a bunch of news, and that. But I'm not alone. I've got my usual co-host, Dan. Dan, how's it going?
Oh, it's going all right. It's just a little bit been slim pickings the last few weeks, man. Not a whole lot to see out there, but hopefully things will start picking up pretty soon.
I don't know.
Yeah,
there is one movie that's released this weekend that I saw that is like absolutely brilliant, and I would love for it to get some Oscar noms, especially in one of these categories that we're going to talk about.
Well, yeah, we'll get to you. We'll get to you, Wolfman.
And we've got some special guests. I'm going to introduce someone that I'm kind of cutting first. Wolfman, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. How are you feeling? I love the Oscars. I love these categories that we'll be discussing. I thank you guys for inviting me onto this show. I love talking all things award season. So,
and we've also got Luis. Luis, how's it going?
Oh, hanging in there. Happy to be back. I agree with Dan. It seems to be very slow with movies of late. It sounds like the people at the festivals are having a lot of fun, though.
Yeah. Maybe it's nice to be in Toronto and Venice and Telluride right about now. Instead, we're out there.
But yeah, that being said, before we sort of get into the meat of all this, we always like talking about what we watched in the past week, and I'm going to go in reverse order. Luis, what are some of the things you watched in the past week?
Well, I saw the sequel to The Nun, The Nun 2. And unfortunately, I did not like it. I found the first Nun to be pretty boring, and I thought that this sequel was pretty much about the same. Not really much there that I dare to say. Honestly, I've kind of already forgotten a lot of the movie. I also caught My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. And, I got to tell you, like, I know the sequels are really badly reviewed, but I don't know. These sequels, I think, are pretty okay with me. I understand that they're simple. I get the criticism, sort of, but I saw this with a crowd that really was digging it, and I thought it was a pretty okay film. Did it justify its existence? No, but I mean, for what it was, I thought it was pretty enjoyable. I think if you're like, for anybody out there's like a super My Big Fat Greek Wedding fan, I think this movie will be enough for them. And also I went ahead and caught a classic, It Happened One Night, which is one of my all-time favorite movies, so it's always nice to catch up with that film.
But Wolfman, what are some things you watched in the past week?
Yeah, so also I watched The Nun 2, and that did nothing for me because it was super boring. I was not into that. I also recently watched the new Equalizer film, and I will say this. So obviously there's like, your best trilogies of all time, like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, stuff like that. But the Equalizer trilogy, hands down, is the most underrated movie trilogy. Because like each one of those films, like I think all of them are solid. Like all of them are like good films, and no one talks about them enough. So it's just like, I think those films are really underrated. I also saw the film that I think should be in this discussion today, but unfortunately I don't see it getting Oscar noms, but it should get an Oscar nom for Best Original Screenplay, and that is Bottoms, which just released with Rachel Sennett, co-written by Rachel Sennett, and it's a great movie. That is, the director's name is Emma Seligman, who did like Shiva Baby in 2021, which was like one of my favorite movies of that year. So it's one of the best movies I've seen this year. It's in my top 5 so far. It's excellent. So if y'all have a chance to go out and see Bottoms, definitely recommend it. It's almost like Fight Club, but with like females. It's so fun. It's yeah, it's an absolute blast. And then I've also seen some classics. Like I just watched The Deer Hunter recently for Dan's Top 64, and that was a good movie. I and I've watched a few other ones. Like I recently watched one called Wings of Desire from Wim Wenders, which is really good too. And there's a few other classics I've just been exploring lately that I haven't seen that I've been trying to catch up on. So yeah.
Dan, what are some things you watched in the past week?
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks ago I saw Bottom's Wolfman. I liked it a lot. I mean, I didn't love it. Emma Seligman's Shiva Baby. Everybody was like raving about that. You know, the cast is what was interesting for me. There was some people in there that I've seen in some other things. You know, Rachel Sennett, like you said, the girl from The Bear, and she was also in Theater Camp.
Ayo Adibri.
Yeah, her. She's been in like everything this summer. If you count The Bear.
She was in the new TMNT as well.
Huh?
She was in the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, she's a voice in that. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
April
O'Neil. She plays the voice of April O'Neil. That's right. So yeah, I saw that a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I heard decent things about it out of Sundance, so I was like, oh, I got to see this. And then I saw it. I was like, it's okay. It's not the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I understand why people like it. I saw also. I got the Netflix screener. I'll tell you, Lewis. This comes out on the 15th. I think you want to check this out if you got Netflix. El Conde, which translates to The Count, and that's the latest film from Pablo Larraín. We all know him from Jackie and Spencer. It's an interesting movie about a ruler of a country, a South American country, who has kind of a secret in his past, and he deals with the things that everybody else deals with: ex-wives, finances, things like that. It's beautifully shot in black and white. It's got a really good score. It's not going to be for everybody, I'll tell you that right now. But I think, Lewis, it might be something you might want to check out. I watched it now. I watched it on with the dubs, the English dubs, and the subtitles together. There is an Easter egg if you watch it with the English dubs. But if you don't watch it with the English dubs, you won't see the Easter egg. I'm not going to give anything away. I think this will be something Lewis should check out because I have a feeling he might get a kick out of this. El Conde, which translates to The Count. I'm not going to say anything else. Also, Kelsey. Jason Kelsey is the center of the Philadelphia Eagles. He has a documentary out that's on Amazon. It's coming out tomorrow, as a matter of fact, on Amazon. And it basically is about his journey through the season last year and his relationship with his brother. And they have a podcast, and he has to make a decision by the end of the documentary with the future of his career and so forth. It's a good doc. It's a bunch of talking heads. You've seen one documentary about a sports guy. You've probably seen them all. This is not going to blow you away or anything like that. Also, since the last time we talked to the animated guys, I have seen The Inventor. Did not like The Inventor, Malcolm. Pretty boring, pretty bland. It's a mix of multiple different animation styles. I don't see it getting a lot of love at the Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature. Just not that good. Also, I did get a screening of A Haunting in Venice. Now, I've liked the Hercule Poirot trilogy up till this point, but this one is just, I mean, I think he's going out of his way to try to make it different and try to make it where people are, oh, that's interesting. That's it. With some really wacky camera tricks and some camera things. But I just think it's because the story's not that good. It's very predictable. It's not scary. There's a little bit of a comedic humor in there with Kenneth Branagh and Tina Fey. But other than that, I mean, it really isn't that good of a movie. The supporting cast, I mean, there's a few big name people in there. It's like Kenneth Branagh's excuse to reunite with this cast of Belfast, because he's got Jamie Dornan, June Hill in there, so whatever. But I did get, I'm technically under embargo for this, but I'm just going to say I did get Monarch Rise, Legacy of Monsters, the first 3 episodes. And I'll tell you what, I cannot wait for the next episodes of this, because this, if you're a fan of like Godzilla and King Kong and the monster universe that they created, this is really good so far. It whets your appetite just enough, creates some new characters that are kind of interesting and fascinating. It goes back in time. It has flash forwards. It's got Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell in it. It's got John Goodman in it. I don't want to say what he does in it, but I got the first 3 episodes of that, and I really like what I saw so far of that.
Well, Dan, if you see my shirt here, I think you'll understand why I'm very happy to hear that, because I am a major Godzilla fan.
I think you're going to really like it. I really like the first 3 episodes. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, Lewis, but I got 3 episodes, so that.
I loved the trailer that released. I was so into that. Yeah.
And there's monsters. If you're afraid that there's not going to be monsters, there are monsters. We know the Godzilla movies have a bunch of humans, and a lot of times the humans are like, I don't care about the humans. I want to see monsters. But actually, I think the humans in this are decent, and they're people you care about and you'll want to care about. So hopefully the next episodes will be even better as the series goes by. So that's what I saw in the last week or so. It's not been a lot, Malcolm.
Yeah, I think if Monarch's like the other streaming services, will be like 8 to 10 episodes, at least. I'm not sure which streaming service it is for, but it's typically they're around 8 to 10 episodes. So.
Yeah, it's Apple.
It's my fault. It's Apple TV Plus or Apple Plus TV, whatever it is.
Yeah. But anyway, I haven't watched a lot of like new stuff. I finally got around to watching The Little Mermaid. I don't think it's as bad as what some people have made it out to be, because I know Austin really hates it. But I think it was fine. It's not going to be anywhere near my top 10, but and this may be a hot take, but I didn't hate the Scuttlebutt song. I really didn't. I
hate that song so much.
It's one of those ones like, well, yes, like I get it. Like it can get annoying listening to it on repeat, but I think it's one of those ones like as a song which oddly doesn't really mean anything, but just a fun song. I think I like it on that level. But outside of that, I finally got around to watching One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but a blind spot that I've had for a long time.
All-time favorite. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those ones I kind of felt like I had to watch it for Jack Nicholson mentioned last night.
Good job, Malcolm.
But yeah, I also watched the Jack Nicholson movie Hoffa, where he played Jimmy Hoffa, I watched a whole bunch of other stuff, I'm not going to go over everything I watched because it's a lot. But with that, we're going to move into the next one, because we had a bunch of trailers coming out, some of which may be Oscar nominated, some maybe not. I don't know. It's really hard to tell, but just from the trailers. But going to bring up first one we're going to talk about is the Killer. The Michael Fassbender movie that's coming out on Netflix on November the 10th, but it is going to have a limited theatrical release October 27th. Dan, what are your thoughts about the Killer trailer?
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen movies where about the assassins and stuff like that, it kind of takes a kind of like a lighthearted look at like assassins and stuff, and Michael Fassbender, it looks like he's having fun doing it. It doesn't look super serious, and I don't know. I mean, it might be really serious, but I'm just looking at the trailer. I can only go off that. It looks like he's kind of having a good old time. And he, David Fincher, usually 9 out of 10 times, David Fincher makes a good movie. So, and this is him again working with Netflix. So he's had some good luck with them in the past. So I'm hoping for good things. I think this combination of David Fincher and Michael Fassbender looks good.
Luis, what are your thoughts about the Killer trailer?
Well, I mean, it looks very interesting, and I'm definitely be very excited to check it out when I get the chance. I mean, Fincher's always been pretty good with the thrillers. I mean, I have to say, though, watching the trailer, I'm not sure this is going to be an Oscar player, because if you notice Fincher's filmography, it's kind of like hit or miss whether his movies end up being big Oscar players or not. I'm not sure this is going to be one, especially with a lot of other things that Netflix is pushing. But in Oscars aside, it does look like a potentially really interesting thriller, and it's nice to see Michael Fassbender, hopefully in a good movie, because he hasn't been having the greatest streak of late. So I'm hoping that this helps him kind of bounce back and get some good momentum.
And Wolfman, what did you think about the Killer trailer?
Well, first off, we could be seeing Michael Fassbender in 2 good movies this year, because if Next Goal Wins is also a success, we have to wait until I think TIFF is when that's premiering, I believe. Is Next Goal Wins?
It already played at TIFF. Not to interrupt you, Michael. It already played at TIFF. And when we get to some of the awards talk, I'll talk about it.
Okay, nice. Because I haven't heard anything about it yet, but the Killer, yeah, I watched the trailer and I'm really excited for it. Obviously, David Fincher, one of my favorite directors. I think this movie will be right up my alley, but I don't think it'll be right up the Oscars alley. I think if anything, it would get like editing, maybe sound. I could see like a best sound nom or something like that for it, but I don't really see it being like an Oscars push. But I definitely could see it being, because it's one of the lower rated David Fincher films. Not like badly rated, but it's like one of the more lower rated ones. So I could definitely see it being like a movie that critics love and that like people that the audiences love, but like I don't think it's going to be like an Oscars thing that much, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like when it comes to Oscar chances, like I just on the trailer, I don't know if this will be run like, but in saying that, this could be one of the random surprising movies that just finds a spot somewhere depending on how it's perceived in that. So I'm not sure if it played. I think it played at some of the film festivals. I'm not too sure.
It played at Venice, I believe.
I think it's skipping the film festivals. I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it played at Venice, and that was
okay.
It.
Yeah, then that's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, but moving from Michael Fassbender to cars going around the fast bend, that was a really bad transition, I know, but the next trailer we're going to talk about is Ferrari. And this is one that I've heard a lot of buzz coming out of Venice and that about this. And this just looks really good. Like Adam Driver looks really unrecognizable in this movie. And yeah, and like I'd say a lot of people go, this could be Michael Mann's like first big Oscar nomination or win. I'm not sure if he's been nominated before. But yeah, and this movie looks really good. And yeah, Wolfman, what are your thoughts about Ferrari?
Yeah, so Ferrari, to quote Bedtime Stories. Ferrari, though, is actually a very, very interesting looking movie. I love Adam Driver as an actor. And yeah, he looks unrecognizable here. And Neon is producing it. I trust them with like a lot of movies because they know like they're one of the best along with A24, they're one of the best studios working right now. And their only other Oscars push is Anatomy of a Fall this year, so they really could like push this one for Oscars as well.
Can I say something, Wolfman? Did they pick up the North Korean, the documentary? Did anybody hear if that has been picked up by Neon or not?
Oh, which one's that? Which one's
Did you know the documentary I'm talking about, right, Lewis? The Korean documentary, Utopia.
Beyond Utopia.
Is that the one where supposedly they were able to get some undercover cameras through?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure who picked that up.
Not because that's going to be another big player in documentary. I don't know if it has found a distributor yet. That's the big thing, and that's why I didn't mean to interrupt you, Wolfman, but I just was wondering about that.
Yeah, it's well, it says that it's getting a theatrical release from Fathom Events and Roadside Attractions. So I don't know if
Roadside Attractions got it.
Yeah, apparently something like that. So
did it give you a date?
Not yet. This is August 28th, 2023 is when it was.
Wow, that's
when
massive.
it says that Fathom Events will release the film in a more than 600 theaters nationwide during a special 2-night only event October 23rd through to the 24th.
Oh,
so it's like, so yeah.
I wonder if Roadside will give us screenings, Lewis. Screeners.
I mean, if they want to play for the Oscar, they got to get it out to critics.
Oh, yeah.
Roadside, we've had good luck with Roadside giving us screeners. So.
Yeah, we'll have to see. So that's pretty cool because they're actually a really underrated studio as well. So.
Sorry to interrupt. I apologize, Wolfman. When you brought Neon up, I was curious about that.
Yeah, you're good to know because Neon has a lot of great documentaries, so I wouldn't be surprised if they would have picked that up. But yeah, as far as its Oscar chances go, like watching this trailer and hearing all the buzz, I think as far as Oscar chances go, I would say that probably Penelope Cruz and sound maybe, but that's it for me. That's all I'd pretty much say as far as Oscar chances, but yeah.
Louise, what are your thoughts about the Ferrari trailer?
Well, there's been a lot of like hype of late in regards to Ferrari having. I saw a lot of people getting really confident about it potentially being a picture player, and I've been a little bit skeptical about that. Then I saw the trailer and thought, well, okay, this looks like it potentially could be accessible to what usually plays with the Academy voters. But I can't ignore looking at the reviews and the reactions coming out of Venice, and from everything I'm hearing, it's not necessarily a strong contender for picture, but what I am hearing is that Penelope Cruz really shines in this, and she has the chance to potentially get a nod for this. I agree with Wolfman that sound is probably something else that can happen, but I think it's going to be one of those sort of also-rans that may or may not get an Oscar nomination.
But Dan, what are your thoughts about the Ferrari trailer?
Can't be Gone with the Wind if we don't hear Malcolm's dog. No, I actually, something, Lewis, I saw a Lamborghini last year with Frank Grillo, and I'm wondering, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm wondering if this is a similar type of story as Lamborghini, but from the opposite perspective or not. I'm just completely speculating here, and I'm wondering, with Michael Mann involved in it and Adam Driver, it's probably going to be a better version of that story, that feud between Ferrari and Lamborghini, more than likely, with like Penelope Cruz and people like that. But the trailer really didn't do a whole lot for me. But I'm with you, you guys. I've been hearing a little bit of scuttlebutt around Penelope Cruz being potential for best actor. Is it actress or supporting actress?
I think supporting is what she would campaign.
Okay.
Yeah.
She probably has a better shot supporting than lead with how competitive lead is.
Yeah. So we'll just, the trailer didn't like blow me away or anything. It was a good trailer. Don't get me wrong. It got me interested in wanting to see the movie. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting that this movie was in production since about 2015 because Christian Bale was originally going to be playing Ferrari, and then Bale left the movie over concerns about meeting the rate requirements for the role. Then Hugh Jackman entered negotiations to play Ferrari Numi Passes' wife. Then they left. So it's definitely got one of those interesting things, like so much what if, like, so interesting. We could have had Christian Bale in about two Ferrari based movies in close proximity, because he was in Ford v Ferrari around that same time.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to the next trailer, and it's Saltburn had that trailer come out this week. Dan, what are your thoughts about the Saltburn trailer?
Now, this was intriguing. Look, we know it's Emerald Fennell. We know she's coming off a Promising Young Woman where what's her face probably got robbed of an Oscar. Well, she didn't get robbed. Frances McDormand was great in Nomadland, but I think if you really wanted to make a great kind of statement, you would have given it to what's her face,
Carey Mulligan.
Carey Mulligan.
Yeah.
I think she would have been the better choice instead of Frances McDormand. But hey, what do I know? So this is her follow-up to Promising Young Woman. She's got Jacob Elordi from the HBO show that I watch, and I can't think of the name of the show for some reason. Euphoria. Jacob Elordi, and then he's also in Priscilla as Elvis. So, and he's getting. I'm hearing he just got in another movie coming up soon. He got news that he's going to be in another movie. So, this looks really interesting. And look, we've been getting a lot of these types of movies lately. These romantic movies involving two men and stuff like that. But the trailer really made me intrigued about this. So I'm fascinated by it. Who's the other guy in the trailer besides him? I for the life of me, I can't.
Barry Keoghan.
Barry Keoghan. That's right. Barry Keoghan and Jacob Elordi are in this. And it looks really good. So we'll see. I don't know. You don't know until you see the movie, but it looks like it's going to be really good.
Luis, what are your thoughts about the Saltburn trailer?
Well, I was sort of in the minority that I wasn't that crazy about Promising Young Woman. I didn't think it was a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I didn't love it. But that being said, this one has definitely intrigued me. I think I find the concept very interesting. From what I hear from the people who've seen the movie, it takes sort of a twisted turn about halfway through the movie, which I think Fennell clearly has a voice in where she really likes to have sort of this dark, twisted humor. And I think you're going to be seeing that in this movie as well. I think she's definitely up her game in terms of cinematography. I believe this is the same cinematographer who did Babylon. And I think the cinematography looks amazing to me. The only thing that I would worry about for its Oscar chances that I've noticed, and it's still very early, but I've noticed that it seems to be getting a little bit more divisive reaction to Promising Young Woman, because I guess it takes certain risks that some people were uncomfortable with. So maybe this will end up being Fennell's Babylon, a movie that people are very divided on, and ultimately it doesn't get in. But she has gotten in before, and she did win Oscar for screenplay. So there's still a chance for it. I'm very intrigued by it. I mean, visually, at the very least, it looks like a really good movie.
Wolfman, what are your thoughts about the Saltburn trailer?
So yeah, I use Letterboxd a lot. That's how I follow a lot of the movies at festivals and stuff. And literally, Saltburn is split right down the middle. There's people who give it 4 stars that are tied with the 5-star reviews. So it's people love this movie, and there are people who like it, but don't love it. There are people but there's so it seems like there's just a whole combination mix, and then there's some people who just think it's kind of okay or just kind of mess. So it's kind of all over the place the way the scale is right now on Letterboxd, and just with like just the reviews I've been reading, and to me it looks fascinating. I love Emerald Fennell. I love what she did with Promising Young Woman. Yeah, I agree. Carey Mulligan should have won that year. I'm curious though, because it was the COVID year. I'm wondering, do y'all think it still would have gotten a Best Picture nomination if it was not the 2020 COVID year? That kind
Well, I mean, remember, originally it was supposed to, I think, come out in April, and then it got delayed and ultimately ended up being their big awards player. I'm kind of 50-50 on whether it would have gotten in, because clearly they reacted well to the movie, the Academy, when the critics pushed it, the Academy voters reacted well to it. But at the same time, that was a very quiet year, and I do wonder if it could have survived had we seen, like, much bigger movies, because remember, movies like West Side Story, Dune were supposed to come out that year as well. So maybe it was helped a lot by the fact that it was such a subdued, quiet year.
Yeah, I think so. Because like that year was a lot of like just indie films that were nominated and stuff.
And supposedly the turnout among voters was low, because some voters supposedly just decided to skip it that year, just not get involved.
Pretty much. But yeah, it was this trailer though definitely has me intrigued. I think that as far as its Oscar chances go though, I could see, depending on if it's like flashy and well done, I could see like editing nomination maybe. I could see like cinematography, like we said, because cinematography is really beautiful. The one I think it has the best chance in is probably original screenplay. I think that one it could definitely get in. And
don't show your hand, Wolfman.
Oh, show me. Oh, it was.
What are we doing?
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's true. There's as far as like those three, like two of them I'm not as confident in, but one of them I'm like pretty confident it could get into that category. So, that's just kind of how I feel with Saltburn. I don't think it'll be like a Best Picture push, because I think that is just such a big crowded category this year. I just don't see that for Saltburn.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like I loved Promising Young Woman. I was a big fan of this. So I've heard so much talk about this movie. I didn't realize it was Emerald Fennell until I read up about it more when this trailer came out. But yeah, I mean, and part of the reason I like Promising Young Woman is because of the twist. So if the twist works in Saltburn, I think I'm probably going to love it as much as I did with the Promising Young Woman. And just for something I wanted to check out, it's currently got like an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, like give or take what that means, like if you want to trust them or not. But yeah, so it's definitely one is one of those movies that's definitely highly rated. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. But moving on to the next one, we talked about animated movies a few weeks ago. It would have been a while ago now, but the trailer for the Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget had just released. Look, I'm not a fan of the original.
We know this is your most anticipated movie of the year, so we know you're going to love this movie. All right, go ahead.
It's not. It's not.
I love you, man. Look, you know, I'm picking on you.
I'm not a fan of the original Chicken Run movie. And when it comes to Dawn of the Nugget, it looks fine. It looks like it's a step up from the original. I'm not like, just because I wasn't a fan. Like, I think this looks better than the first one, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I do. Sadly, I think this could be the one that it may sneak in, but I think there's a chance it still could miss out to this, because it's one of those ones, because we know like the Oscars do tend to sometimes try to mix up, put give love to different animation styles if they can. So, and they do like Aardman movies. So I don't know. This might get that, but they'll be the only one to get. I don't really see it doing anything else. But Wolfman, what are your thoughts about Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget?
Yeah, these kind of movies, the Chicken Run movies, like they're in the same vein as like the Shaun the Sheep kind of stuff, and like the movies are like those. I actually quite have fun with them. That's me personally. I think they're really fun. They're not like, they don't revolutionize the genre. They're not like anything that's like super incredible. But I have fun with them. I think they're a good time. So I'm actually excited for this one. But I will say, as far as its Oscar chances go, obviously the only category it would even be a competitor in would be Best Animated Feature, I feel. And I feel like it could slide in there, just because I feel like they always get one of these type of movies in there, whether it's like a Shaun the Sheep, whether it's a Wallace and Gromit, whatever it might be.
Shoes on.
Yeah, I feel like they always get like one of these type of anime movies thrown in there. Like you always get your anime, which will be like The Boy and the Heron. You always get your, other stuff like that, and then you always now get like these kind of claymation, stop motion puppetry kind of movies in there. So I could definitely see Dawn of the Nugget getting in for Best Animated Feature. But I feel like that's the only.
I will say just to bounce off there, I think if anything, the other one it could do if they want to. I think they got Wallace and Gromit and visual effects once. So I think visual effects maybe.
I feel like if any anime film gets in visual effects, though, I feel like it'll be Across the Spider-Verse. I don't know if they would.
I agree with you on that point. I'm just saying, like, that's the only other one that probably could get in. Like, not saying it would get in. But Luis, what are your thoughts about Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget?
Yeah, I mean, I can't pretend to be that excited about this. I mean, I'm way overdue for a rewatch of the original. I don't think I've seen that movie since I was a kid. Like, I need to check it out before I see this one. But
20 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I think this one is more of a 50-50 on getting the animated feature that I think a lot of people realize. And when I'm looking at what movies can get into the animated feature race, I would not be surprised at all if this doesn't get in, because I can see a situation where there's going to be some voters who are like, look, we're already getting into the Spider-Verse in there. Why are we going to add another sequel? So I think it's going to have to be something that's like really like knocks their socks off to earn its way in there, like Puss in Boots, The Last Wish did.
And Dan, what are your thoughts about Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget?
I'll tell you what, I laughed my ass off at this trailer. I thought this trailer was funny. It's a heist movie. They're to go after a factory. This thing looks so funny. Netflix knows what they're doing. They had 5 animated contenders last year. 5. And they ended up getting in twice last year. Netflix did. And they won the whole thing last year. So they know what they're doing with animation. They know Aardman Studios has had good luck with this category, the animated category in the past. So I think this has got a very good shot of making it in the 5 for animated. But that being said, the trailer looked funny as hell to me. I love this whole heist. Remember, they were trying to escape in the original Chicken Run. Now they're trying to get in. You got that dichotomy. So maybe it is a good thing to watch the first one now and watch the second one pretty close to each other. I think a lot of people are going to be doing that, and might get a lot of views up. You'll be seeing this thing pop up on Netflix, on Airbox a lot.
I will say that might actually be a disservice to the movie because as well as if they watch the original movie then watch this one, they're going to notice the difference in voices because it's majority not the same voice cast.
Oh, okay.
So that could impact on the enjoyment of Dawn of the Nuggets. Like,
All right.
oh shit, that's not Mel Gibson.
All
And
right.
that criticism has already happened because of the tropes. I've seen people complain, it's like, oh, they could. Why couldn't they get like Timothy Spell back to voice whatever character he voiced?
Oh yeah. You think he's got the time?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
sort
one
of
of
like-
those ones like.
Sort of like the new Hotel Transylvania. That had that same criticism because he didn't bring back Adam Sandler to voice the voice of, I think, of Dracula in there. And so people noticed that and they were criticizing it and complaining. So it's, yeah.
So yeah, I think it's one of those ones like, well, yeah, I do think you're right that there might be people that will watch the first one, then watch the second one, but that might actually do them a bit of a disservice in actually giving them appreciation for it. And the one thing I will add, I'd said this on the animated thing, the one thing this could happen that could get it into the best animated race is because, like, it's been a long-running opinion that the reason Oscars brought in the animated category is because of the success of Chicken Run back in 2000s and how they wish they could have gotten an Oscar nomination. So this is the equivalent of a legacy Oscar for animated movie. So
got a lot in its
I
favor.
think
You're right.
So that's kind of why I think it could get into. But that being said, that's a weird reason to go down that road.
That's a good reason. That's good.
Yeah, no, they love the legacy.
That's a narrative, Malcolm. That's a narrative, and they love a good narrative.
I mean, looks like how I just watched a video on it recently. Like maybe one of the worst Oscar wins ever was Al Pacino for Scent of a Woman, when we all should have known that he should have won for stuff like The Godfather Part 2 or Serpico or something like that, or Scarface or something along those lines, and he won for a performance that was just fine, I guess. And it was like because he was Al Pacino and he hasn't had his Oscar yet. It was one of those kind of things. So it's
Paul Newman the same way. Don't get me started. Started. Malcolm knows this. You do not want to get me started with that.
Yeah, I'm not going to get that because I actually thought Al Pacino was great instead of him personally, but never mind. He's not in any of the upcoming trailers, so we don't have to talk about Al Pacino.
The Bike Riders, right? Are we up to the Bike Riders?
Or not? Not yet. We've still got about 4. The Bike Riders is the last one I've gone on the list because that's the last trailer you put in that came out.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
The next one is actually a trailer I wasn't able to watch because the link that Dan put in there is a block to New Zealand viewers, so I couldn't watch it.
Sorry.
It's May December. Dan, what are your thoughts about the May December trailer?
But you were able to find a link to a trailer.
I haven't been able to find a trailer for this.
I'll tell you right now, guys, you're looking at 2 massive contenders for Best Actress and Best Actor, Supporting Actress right here with Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore, I think. This movie looks, oh my God, this looks like a typical romance, this type, the Brooklyns, the Carols, those type of movies. And with 2 heavy hitters, 2 people that have won the Academy Award already, it looks like a beautiful movie. I heard good things coming out of Cannes, and this trailer did not let me down. I'm really excited to watch this movie. It may not be the kind of movie everybody wants to see, but I don't care about everybody else. I just care about myself, and I want to see this.
But Luis, what are your thoughts about the May December trailer?
Well, I mean, I would have liked to see a little bit more. It felt more like a tease than an actual trailer to me. But from everything that I've heard, I'm not sure this is a picture player, but I do definitely think it's a potential acting contender. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it seems like a movie that's definitely going to be a character study. I guess it's going to be a little bit of a love triangle. Because I do wonder if it'll be a little bit too predictable. Because I feel like maybe I'll end up being wrong when I see the movie, but I kind of wonder. I kind of see certain story beats that I think are going to happen in this movie in regard to Natalie Portman trying to be Julianne Moore, because I believe she's trying to she's going to be playing her, and so she's sort of moved in with her and this younger guy that Julianne Moore's character got with. And so I do fear that maybe it'll be a little too predictable in terms of where it goes, but we'll see. I've heard good things about it, but I do think this is more of an acting vehicle than like a major picture player.
Wolfman, what are your thoughts about the May December trailer?
I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. I love Todd Haynes as a director, and just and it's got arguably maybe my favorite actress. Goes back and forth between her and Kate Blanchett with Natalie Portman in here. And then you have like Julianne Moore, who's incredible. Yeah, 2 Oscar winners. They'll definitely, I think they have strong potential to get in. But also, from what I've heard of people coming out of this film, like they say, yeah, it's probably too wacky for Best Picture. Like it's kind of weird, all this kind of stuff. But don't put it past them to do screenplay. I could see like an original screenplay nom or something like that for this film. I think that is I think that would work for something like May, December, and it's coming out in December, which is funny on Netflix because it's May, December. So yeah, that's what I was kind of,
I wonder if we'll get a re-release next May. But anyway,
Criterion gets it, and it comes out in the Criterion Collection in May.
Yeah, that joke probably works a little bit better. But yeah, like as I said, for whatever reasons, was the only trailer I couldn't watch. So
I'm sorry,
but that is what it is. But yeah, it's not your fault, Dan. But it sounds interesting. I'm definitely going to check it out when I get a chance to see it. And because I do love Natalie Portman as it is. So yeah. But moving on to a movie that we did talk about briefly when we did the actors and predictions a couple of weeks ago. But we finally got the trailer for it. Finally got to see some Pain Hustlers came out, and the new movie starring Chris Evans and Emily Blunt. And yeah, this movie looks interesting, and it looks like it's definitely could get some buzz, especially for Chris Evans and Emily Blunt, because I think both of them are really good from the short shot of the movie and that we saw, and yeah, it just looks a lot of fun because. But Wolfman, what are your thoughts about the trailer for Pain Hustlers?
yeah, so I watched this trailer, and honestly, I'm kind of like mixed on it. This is the one that I don't know how to feel, because watching it, I'm like, Netflix's reputation, like, yeah, they come out with like some Oscar contenders like Irishman and like Marriage Story and like other stuff like that, but a lot of the Netflix movies suck. Like, that's just reality. Like, a lot of their films are bad. And so, like, watching this, I'm like, what other streaming movie have we seen Chris Evans in this year? Oh, yeah, that's right. That Ghosted movie. So I don't really trust this. I think this one just looks like it's just going to kind of be one of their throwaway projects. That's just me personally. I'm not that excited for this one. But I hope it's good. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's a fun time. So,
Luis, what are your thoughts about Pain Hustlers?
Yeah, I mean, on paper, I'm not sure this is going to be necessarily making noise come awards season, but it also strikes me as a movie that potentially could surprise us, and before we know it, it is making some sort of noise come awards season. I feel like it's one of those movies that tackles a dark subject, but it tries to do it sort of a crowd pleasing way by getting in some dark comedy in there. If anything, maybe it helps Emily Blunt in terms of getting a nomination for Oppenheimer. Maybe some goodwill in terms of a good performance here as well. Because I think she's doing an accent in this. So from that it might help her. But I don't know. This could end up being a movie that ends up getting very mixed reviews, or it could end up being one of the big surprises of the year.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of with these guys, Malcolm. I'm kind of like, I think I know you're big on this. I know you're big on this, the Pain Hustlers, Malcolm, and I don't know if I'm as big on it as you are, but it could be one of those surprises that you don't see coming, except for you, Malcolm, which I know you're predicting both Chris Evans and Emily Blunt to get into Best Actor and Best Actress. So you kind of high on this as far as that goes. I wasn't that high on it as much as you were, as far as, and the trailer didn't really do much for me. I mean, I didn't really get a whole lot out of the trailer from watching it. I'm going to probably get this movie in October at some point. I think Netflix will probably give us a screening of this, more than likely, in October. Is that when this is coming out, Lewis?
Yeah, October
believe so.
27th is when it comes out on Netflix.
I'll either be seeing this at a festival, or I'll be getting it as a screening on earlier in the month of October, probably from Netflix. So I'm going to definitely get this at some point in October. So I'll have more information when that time comes. But it really didn't blow me away. The trailer didn't blow me away. But I know you were higher on than me, Malcolm.
Yeah.
Hey, the only reason, I mean, I'm not that high on it. I was only high on it for the actors thing. It was because I heard stuff when we were talking about the Sundance Film Festival. I think it was Sean or someone that was there was talking about it and was saying that it's coming out. But and that actually it is it actually had its world premiere at TIFF today. So we might get it screened at TIFF today, so we might hear more about it in the coming days. So.
Okay. But I don't think it's going to be any Oscars thing at all from the trailer.
Well, I'm just saying there's a chance. I mean, it's weird things have happened.
That's true. The one girl that was nominated, I forget her name, the grassroots campaign that happened last year.
Oh, yeah.
This year, yeah.
Yeah, what's her name last year?
Andrew Riceborough.
Andrew, that was ridiculous. Yeah. That movie wasn't that good.
Her performance is incredible.
Okay. The performance is okay. Go ahead.
A small movie with a big heart.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those ones like it's interesting because this is the first sort of non fantasy movie that because this is directed by David Yates, who's known for the Harry Potter movies he did and Tarzan. So this is a really different movie than what he's done in the past 10 years. So it's definitely one of those. So it's definitely one of those interesting things. But we'll see what happens when the reactions come out of TIFF and all that. But moving on is another one that could have some raves in the animated category. The Boy and the Heron actually had a trailer come out this week as well. Dan, what are your thoughts about The Boy and the Heron?
Yeah, I've been actually seeing some reviews online about this because this already played at Toronto. And look, Miyazaki is Miyazaki. You can't knock Miyazaki. His movie, if his movies aren't like the greatest thing in sliced bread, they're pretty close to the greatest things in sliced bread. This trailer looked okay. It looked a little weird, but all his movies are a little weird, so the trailer's going to look a little weird, But I don't really know what to say about the trailer because it just looked weird to me, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it, but I know it's going to be a player in animation, so we'll see when we get a better trailer and maybe when we get a date when this is actually going to come out.
Luis, what are your thoughts about The Boy and the Heron trailer?
Well, I know some people have been like bullish, thinking that this could even freaking get into picture, which would be historic because A, it's not a Disney movie, and B, it would be the first ever anime film to get into a picture. But I'm not sure that I don't know if y'all noticed, but Japan is not submitting this as their official pick. So I think that might make it a little bit harder for it to get into picture because as we saw with RRR last year, if the country doesn't pick it, there could be somebody. Now that being said, Miyazaki is a huge name onto himself, and I do think that it's definitely an animated feature player. I mean, the reviews have been great. I just don't know if the passion is going to be there for, like, say something like Spider-Verse, but maybe. I mean, I think by the end of this week we'll see what the audience winner is going to be. If it wins the audience, if it's the audience winner at TIFF, I don't think we can just ignore that so easily, especially given
someone will get the distribution rights and get it have come out in the country in our country before the year's out.
Yeah, and I mean, but I don't know if it's a picture player, but it might show that Spider-Verse might be beatable if the passion is there for it.
But Wolfman, what are your thoughts about The Boy and the Heron?
Yeah, especially because Spider-Verse, it came out earlier in the year, and I know that doesn't really matter anymore that much because earlier in the year movies have won Best Picture recently, but but if this comes out like December or early January, then I feel like that really can help it. Now, here's the only thing that like potentially knocks it down is that for the longest time, I thought this was supposed to be Miyazaki's final film, but now news is coming out that it might not be his final film. And so, like, if it was his final film, then yeah, you could make an argument for Best Picture because he's a legend in Hollywood. It would be like, okay, let's give this man his due. Or you could see it winning like automatically because it's like, okay, let's give this man his due. It's his final film. Let's do this. Like, you could get that push, but now we just don't know. Like, I don't know if this is his final film or not. Like, it's not clear really, and it seems like it's not. I don't know. We'll see, but the reviews are astounding. I love Miyazaki. I love Studio Ghibli. I cannot wait for this. I think personally this is going to be one of my favorite movies of the year, so I am beyond hyped, and the trailer got me even more hyped for it. So,
yeah, I mean, this is like I love Ghibli movies. I think, it's one of those. I think the fact that the news came out that this might not be Miyazaki's final movie now might have hurt its best chance against sneaking in there. But that being said, I think if it's as good as what people say, then I think that there's a chance that it could be the anime movie that could get in. And it's one of those ones like, because I think I've had this debate with someone before, but I think with Spider-Verse, I think the news of that having a toxic work environment that may impact its Oscar chances as well, because who knows, like, what controversies can do sometimes.
You don't watch controversy around your movie, do you, Malcolm?
Not really, no.
Look at James Franco got robbed of a nomination.
But at the same time, though, didn't Green Book have that controversy around the time it won? So, like, I thought it did. Like, I thought it had the Peter.
Controversy about Green Book.
I thought it had the Peter Farley controversy.
I felt like that. I think the problem with that controversy is that it sort of started happening so late because it clearly got out there as it was getting to be obvious that it was a win competitive. But I think at the end of the day, the audience love for it just won out.
Same thing with Casey Affleck. Same thing with Casey Affleck.
Yeah,
it's such a juggernaut.
If they like the movie enough, they're willing to forgive certain things.
Good point.
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those ones because I think with the James Franco controversy, I think that sort of came out while they were voting on the best voting on the Oscars.
Yeah.
So I was like, so it's one of those ones like I still believe that like he would have been about 6 in that anyway. Like I still believe that.
Whoa, hot take.
Well, I mean,
He may have
Not so
gotten in
much
had
that-
Disaster Artist been a stronger contender also.
yeah, that's what I was meaning. It's like Disaster itself like didn't get a lot of love in other places where James Franco wasn't really involved as it is. So
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to the final trailer, it's the one that Dan seems to be high on, which is the Bike Riders. Yeah, I mean, I think this trailer looked pretty good. It's a standard like biker movie, but it's one that I'll probably go see, but whether or not I like it or not, I don't know. It looks interesting, but I don't really know too much about outside of that. But Wolfman, what are your thoughts about the Bike Riders trailer?
So I love Jeff Nichols as a director. He's done some great films like Take Shelter, Mud, Midnight Special, Loving. Like he's a really good director. And so that definitely has me hyped for this. I just have to say one thing. Am I allowed to cuss on the show or no?
No.
No? Okay.
Curse.
Then I'll just say it in a clean way. What the heck is Tom Hardy doing in this movie? I'm listening to his accent and I'm like cracking up. I'm like, dude, this is like Jared Leto and like House of Gucci kind of stuff almost. It feels like he's like, oh yeah, sir, okay. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
You've given some weird accents in the past, you know that.
I know, but I find it so funny that like he's had so much of his career. He's a great actor, but he's had so much of his career to where you can barely understand him. It's just it's so funny to me. But I mean, all of them have accents. Jodie Comer has kind of an accent in this, and she looks like she.
Can you place where the accent is, though? Is it a New England accent? Is it California? Is it somewhere? Is there a specific area that you could tell what it is? Wolfman, I couldn't tell.
Maybe New York.
Really? Okay.
Possibly either New York or California. I think like something around there. But I think that's kind of what I was getting at. Was she at least with Jodie Comer? I feel like she was kind of giving more of like that New York accent kind of vibes a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this one looks fun. This one looks like it'll be a good time. I think I'll enjoy it. But I don't think this is going to be anything like an Oscars competitor per se. I honestly like also looking at the reviews. The reviews have been like kind of mixed. Recently, surprisingly, like it has a 3.4 on Letterboxd, which isn't bad, but like I have to look at the Rotten Tomatoes score again. I believe it's
92%.
Okay, so it's got a good Rotten Tomatoes score, but then the Metacritic score I thought was like the thing that was like kind of more
74 out of 100.
Yeah, 74 out of 100. So it's possible it could get in there for a couple things, but I don't think it'll be like. And I think the average on Rotten Tomatoes, like I think it's a 92, but I think like if you look at the actual average score, I think it's like a 6.8 or something.
At
average
5.9 out of 10. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like
and it's only 92% of 12 critics as well at this point. So
yeah, so it's not like a super high thing. I don't think it'll be like really a big Oscars push, but I think it'll still be a good movie. So I trust Jeff Nichols. So that's what I'm saying.
And Dan, what do you,
Louis,
what? Yeah, I was getting. I thought I'd change. Louis, what are your thoughts about the Bike Riders trailer?
Yeah, I mean, the reviews haven't been bad, but I don't think they've been great either. I mean, I've known it. I mean, when it came out, the first reactions they seemed to be like really good, but then I started noticing the ratings they were giving the movie, and it was like 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Now, to be fair, this is a festival audience. There's a possibility that mainstream audiences will like it even more, and the Academy voters tend to lean more towards how mainstream audiences feel than critics. Every year we get one, maybe even two picture contenders that didn't get the greatest reviews from critics, but the industry responded really well to it. I think this movie has a possibility to be that, especially if it looks accessible. It looks like it doesn't look like a movie that's gonna necessarily turn off some of the older Academy voters, but I do wonder if it's gonna be a little bit too predictable and sort of, from what I heard, steal a lot from other similar type of movies. But one thing I have heard is that Jodie Comer really stands out, and I do wonder if maybe there is a world where she can end up getting lifted into the supporting actress race from this.
Yeah.
And Dan, what are your thoughts about the Bike Riders trailer?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I love this trailer. I thought this trailer was fantastic. I am so excited for this movie. I think Tom Hardy looks amazing. Jodie Comer looks amazing. If this is what I think it is, and I don't know what this is, guys, there's some stories about a biker gang called the Warlocks in Florida. And I'm wondering, this could be about the Hells Angels. This could be about who knows who now, what biker gang this is about. But there's some stories about some major stories that hit the news in Florida about 5 or 10 years ago about the Warlocks and stuff. And I'm wondering if that is what this is about. And if it is, I'm like all in, because that's like Daytona is their home, and that's 20 minutes up the street from me where I live, 25 minutes. So if that's what this is about, and it's not about something in California or New York or wherever, I'll be really, really interested in this more than I already am. Because I have a fascination with biker. I never rode a bike, and I've never been part of a biker gang. But my dad was friends with a guy that was part of the Hells Angels up in New England and stuff, a branch of the Hells Angels. So I've always been fascinated with biker games. I just don't want to join one, but whatever. Is it saying what it's about, Malcolm?
I mean, it's based on this. It's a fictional story inspired by a 1967 photo book of the same name by Danny Leon. So it sounds like it's not based on a true story. It's more of a so it's about a fictional.
Okay, I gotcha.
Biker
All right,
gang.
well, there goes that theory. Someone's gonna make that stuff about the Warlocks into a movie. You can guarantee it.
I've never heard of them.
Nobody would have heard of them unless you live around here.
But anyway, moving on, because both the Telluride and Venice Film Festivals wrapped in the last few days. Telluride ended on, I think it was the 4th, and then Venice ended on the 9th. But some of the reports that came out of Telluride, like I haven't seen a lot. The only one that I've sort of been seeing about Telluride is that the movie Poor Things, the new Yorgos Lanthimos movie, is getting a lot of love there, and a lot of people are saying like Emma Stone, it gives a good performance, should be nominated. Mark Ruffalo gives a really good performance, and one of the critics went as far as saying it's pretty much hot and horny Lady Frankenstein. That's pretty much the quote from an actual critic that I saw. But in Venice Film Festival, Venice also gives out awards as well, and the awards that for the Venice Film Festival for best movie went to Poor Things. The grand jury prize went to a movie called Evil Does Not Exist. The best director went to Matteo Garon for Io Capitano, which I think translates to Me Captain or something like that. The special jury prize went to a movie called Green Border. Best screenplay went to Al Conde. Best actress went to Kaylee Spaney for Priscilla. and Best Actor went to Peter Sarsgaard for Memory, and then Best Young Actor went to Sado Sa for El Io Capitano. But yeah, I mean, Poor Things getting a lot of love. Gives me hope that it's going to get some love at the Oscars. Because like as we know, the Oscars we're taking these weird movies by August. They're either going to like them or they're not going to get a lot of love. It's going to be interesting to see how this one will work. But the fact it's getting a lot of praise gives me hope. And yeah, but I mean, Kaylee Spaney getting some love from Priscilla and Peter Sarsgaard getting some love from Best Actor. Maybe there could be some love. I don't know how. Like I know Priscilla's A24. I don't know what company Memory is, but A24 does have some good luck with getting some actors up into the acting races as it is anyway. But Wolfman, what are your thoughts about the news from Venice and Telluride Film Festivals?
So yeah, guys, this is the one to beat. Let me explain, because I am so freaking excited for Poor Things, and right now, the thing is when you start hearing people say best movie of that director's career, that's when you know this is something to take seriously. Like Poor Things has been being hailed as like Yorgos Lanthimos' best film of his entire career. Like people are like raving about this. It's got a 94 on Metacritic. It's got like a 4.2 on like Letterboxd or something like that. Like people are raving about this movie, and it's coming out in December, which is that perfect sweet spot now. Since it's got pushed, it's that perfect sweet spot. I hope I get this at the Virginia Film Festival, because we have a film festival up here, and I go as press every year, and I can and I actually saw The Favorite at that festival one year. So like, I hope I get to see Poor Things at this festival this October, because that would just be. This is now my most anticipated movie of the year, after just hearing everything about it, after just seeing the trailers for it, and just knowing the kind of film it is. There are some sure locks that this will get into for sure, like costume design, production design, stuff like that, hands down. But Emma Stone looks like a competitor. She looks like she could be in winning conversation. People are like literally praising her that much. So like, I would be on the lookout for this movie big time. Like this is up there in winning conversation now. As far as the Priscilla actress, that is very interesting to me too, because I actually have her currently at like 6 or 7 in Best Actress. I honestly think she could like sneak in there. And so her winning at Venice, I think that is something that's could definitely push her. She's been getting a lot of praise for that movie. And so I feel like it could be a way to like honor like the person as well, Priscilla Presley. I feel like it could almost be a way to honor her by nominating that performance. So I definitely could see some love for that. As far as other stuff, yeah, Evil Does Not Exist. I heard some good things about that, but I don't think that's going to really do anything really as far as Oscars go. But I feel like the two that we really have to look out for is the Priscilla actress, and then Poor Things, most definitely. So that's all right.
But Luis, what are your thoughts about all the news coming out of Venice and Telluride?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Evil does not exist. It's going to be a big player. I don't think it's going to be. I believe that's from Hamaguchi, so who did Drive My Car.
Yeah.
It could get in for international feature, possibly. Right?
Well, it can't, because Japan did not choose it. Apparently, Japan chose Perfect Days.
Yeah, I forget.
And I think that's going to hurt the movie, because even though Drive My Car, went as far as it did, it was Japan's choice. And I'm not, as much as Hamaguchi got some love that year, because he did get a nomination for director, first Japanese director nominated since Kurosawa. I don't think he's Miyazaki either, who is a name unto himself. So I don't think it's going to be the next Drive My Car. In terms of Priscilla, I'm very interested over how this movie's been received, because I thought that this was going to be one of those sort of come and go films. Also ran. It doesn't look like it. I think it could potentially even get into picture with the right momentum. I mean, just looking at these reviews, and I thought, the Academy, we did get Elvis last year, but from what I'm hearing, this is sort of like Elvis for people who weren't into last year's Elvis. It's definitely more of a character study of Priscilla. And you're going to be seeing a different side of Elvis. So I think to me, it's very interesting that maybe the Academy isn't tired of hearing about Elvis, and they're going to extend it to see this movie also getting in. So it got the reviews that it needed to potentially be in the conversation. In terms of Poor Things, I think there's a potential that Poor Things could be our nomination leader, because just looking at the trailer alone, it could get a lot of tech nominations. Emma Stone, I think, is in the conversation for winning actress. We'll have to see if maybe, and I think it could get for screenplay, which we can talk about that later. I think director, picture, it seems at the moment like it's a top 2 or top 3 contender. The only thing that I would tell people to calm down a bit in terms of predicting wins for it. I want to see what the audience scores are going to be, because the favorite didn't get horrible audience scores, but it didn't get great audience scores either. And I think that's why that movie got so many nominations and love and passion, but it seemed like it hit a wall. Like it got actress, and I believe nothing else. Like it got so many nominations, but only one actress. But if it turns out to be Yorgos' most accessible movie and we see good audience reactions to it, I think it is absolutely a movie to watch that potentially win. But I do wonder, given that we saw Everything Everywhere win last year, what are the chances that we get another weird genre Best Picture winner? And, we've had 3 straight movies where the Best Picture winner has been a female-led movie. I wonder if I'm not making any comment about like whether this is good or bad. I'm just wondering, like, are we due for a Best Picture winner that's male-led? Because at the end of the day, even with all the changes in the Academy, it's still mostly white guys. So I think this is a major player in terms of nomination. I could see it becoming the big critical darling that wins most of the critic awards. I would just be a little cautious on it winning, because I do want to see how audiences react to it.
Yeah, I mean,
But Dan, what are your thoughts about all the news coming out of Venice and Telluride?
well, we knew, Malcolm, when we talked about this about a month ago, we knew when they moved this to December 12th that there was a reason for that. That Searchlight was circling the horses, and they were making this their big push for their Oscar. And with this, it winning Venice, that is a massive, massive win for Poor Things and Yorgos Lanthimos, Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, all the people involved in this movie. And I mean, without trying to repeat everything these guys have said, I definitely think this is a massive contender. I just don't think until more people see it, you can really put it ahead of Oppenheimer right now. And then ahead of that, before it even comes out, is going to be Killers of the Flower Moon, which is going to come out before Poor Things is going to come out. Yeah. Did it get screened in Venice, and did some people see it? Sure, they did. But the masses haven't seen it yet. Is it going to be relatable? Is it going to be something that the average person off the street is going to go, oh, yeah, that's something I like? You don't know. Because Yorgos Lanthimos movies are divisive. They aren't for everybody. You know what I mean? And I'm happy that it won Venice, and I'm happy that things are going in the good direction for Yorgos Lanthimos. Searchlight, as far as Priscilla goes, I think this is actually this is where doing something good for Kaylee Spaney is good for her and good for Priscilla. Something that came out of Venice. We'll see if that translates to other people in other places thinking this is a worthy contender for Best Actress. You don't know right now. But we've seen movies similar to this: Jackie, Spencer, have good kind of buzz around them. So we'll see what happens for Priscilla and Kaylee Spinney and that movie. Good luck to them. I hope good things happen for them.
But anyway, moving on to the main topic of the night, we're talking about the best original and adapted screenplays, and how this is going to work is it's going to go do a roundtable thing. Like each person is going to pick a lock first, then there'll be another second possibility, then maybe one that's on the outside looking in. I hope I've got that in the right order. And then we'll revisit this at a later date, sort of once maybe we've seen these movies and all that, or how they stand the test of time. Going to do it for both the adapted and the original screenplays. I'm going to start with the side that's up first on it, which is adapted on the Gold Derby thing that I'm looking at. But yeah, Dan, I'm going to go to you first. What is your one you think is a lock for?
I think
Also, once someone picks a movie, you can't pick the same one. You have to pick a different one. So yeah.
I just think I read the book. I know what it's based on. I know the story. I know this is going to hit a chord with America. I think it's going to hit a chord with audiences. I think the Academy is going to be all up on this. And I think it's going to be Killers of the Flower Moon. I think as far as that book goes, if this book gets adapted the way I think it's going to get adapted, this is going to be a movie that people are going to love. They're going to be cheering for. They're going to be rooting for Native American people. And I think an obvious way to help this movie get a lot of love come the Academy Awards is by giving it adapted screenplay nom. And along with, of course, a bunch of other ones, but one of the big ones it needs come the Oscars is adapted screenplay. So I'm going with Killers of the Flower Moon. I got the book right.
But Luis, what is your lock for adapted screenplay?
I'm going to go with Oppenheimer because I do think that movie is going to get enough love to get into screenplay. I know a lot of people say, well, it's all about the direction in that movie and it's all driven by Nolan. But if they like a movie enough, they definitely and it's a top tier contender. It usually gets into screenplay. I mean, we saw that with Dune, where a lot of people didn't want to bring up. They saw it as such a tech thing, and even though they didn't nominate Denny for director, they did nominate and award the movie big time for its text, but they still nominated for adapted screenplay. We saw that with Top Gun Maverick. They liked it enough that it got nominated to adapted screenplay. So I think this, because of what a top tier contender it is, potentially the front runner, still you can make an argument. I think it's an absolute lock. I gotta think they're getting to adapted screenplay.
And Wolfman, what is your lock for adapted screenplay?
I'm glad I didn't pick the one I was going to pick. So my number one on Gold Derby that I have winning Best Adapted Screenplay is, and it is based on a 1992 novel of the same name, is Poor Things. And the reason why I have this one winning Best Adapted Screenplay is apparently I've been reading reviews and they do stuff that is so clever when you think of just writing. Like apparently Emma Stone only speaks in like certain amount of syllables and stuff like that, and like they do certain things like that, and I'm like, that is something that is like, its screenplay is very particular, it sounds like, from what I'm reading, and people are just like in awe with this film. And I think the Academy is changing. I like from ever since Parasite has been winning, Everything Everywhere All at Once won. All these other films have been winning that are like that are different. They're not just your stereotypical like Driving Miss Daisy Academy anymore. It's not like that kind of thing. And so I could definitely see a world where this one completely takes home the prize for Yorgos Lanthimos. And I mean, I could see Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer. I have them getting in as well, but this one I feel is just I feel there's going to be a lot of passion behind this, especially in its writing. So that's why I have this one.
Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, those three are also pretty much what I've got on Gold Derby myself. But for me, and those that know me know, I really don't like the term lockship medieval because I think it's get overused so much that it kind of has lost its meaning for me. But for me, the other one I do think I will get in just because of the pedigree behind it and fact that the movie is actually really good and I think could be a surprise come Oscar season, and that's the other half of Barbenheimer. Barbie is another one I could see potentially getting into screenplay because, especially when you got like Noah Baumbach, Greta Gerwig behind the screenplay and all that. I think it's just one of those ones like that. I think the screenplay is a really strong point of that movie, just with what they do, especially the speech of America Ferrera's. Like, say what you want about the message behind the movie. I think the actual screenplay is the strong part of that movie. So yeah.
Malcolm,
movie,
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I do need, since we brought up Barbie, I do want to say that apparently there is some talk that the studio is going to try to get it into original screenplay. So I think that's something that we should be keeping an eye on.
I'm
there's
just going by what they've got it on Gold Derby at this point in time.
Okay.
At this point in time,
because
it is on.
yeah, I haven't. I would have any adapts at the moment too. It's just I just want to keep an eye on that because sometimes the Academy does not let them get away with that.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's one of those ones like, because yes, the actual story behind it is original. It is still based on a toy, and I think it's still adapted enough that I think the Oscars won't let them get away with it, and I think they will still get nominated and adapted if anything. Because I mean, look at the comic book movies, for example. Like a lot of those comic book movies are not necessarily based on the actual storyline of that comic. Like Civil War is not a direct replication, but if it was nominated for an Oscar, it will be adapted because it's still based on those characters. I get your point and all that, but yeah.
Back to
but
me.
anyway, moving on to the Dan.
Yeah, now this is going to be, we think it could get in. It might get in. It might not get in. And I'm going to go with The Color Purple, based on a beloved film of Steven Spielberg, based on a Broadway play, and then the Broadway play gets turned into a musical. I just think there's so much behind this, so much pedigree behind this, that I think it could get in. I think this could sneak in as a potential 4th or 5th place contender. And I just wanted a real quick comment. I think no shade towards Malcolm, but I believe Lewis could be correct as far as that Barbie getting switched over to original screenplay, because it's not based on any specific story of Barbie. It's based on the original script.
A decision hasn't been made yet. That's just what the studio is supposedly going to try.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. That's all I'm saying. I just want to put my 2 cents on it because I didn't have a chance to say anything on that. But so I'm going to go with The Color Purple. That's all. That's a caveat. Once again, we get doing another caveat. If Warner Brothers doesn't push it to next year.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But Luis, what is the one that you think could get in but not sure?
I'm gonna go here with a smaller film that seems to be getting incredible love. I think it was on I tell you right, All of Us Strangers. And
Mm.
now that's I think that I would not be surprised if Searchlight pushes this as their second film behind the obvious poor things. Everything that I'm hearing about this movie is that it really been hitting with a lot of people. It's apparently a little bit of a fantasy, a romance. I think it's got certain. I think it's a queer movie, so I think its message might resonate with some voters. So I would say I could see it completely not being a player, but I would not be surprised if this is like that one that gets in that isn't like a picture nominee. So I would say All of Us Strangers would be my pick.
And Wolfman, what is your pick for could get in but unsure?
So my pick for that is something I'm going to do something sort of similar to what Luis did. I'm going to pick a passion pick of a film that's been getting a lot of praise and love. This time out of Cannes Film Festival. It's an A24 film. It's got a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 97 Metacritic score, and this one is called The Zone of Interest. What this movie is about is it's about a Nazi officer who falls in love with a woman of the commander of the Auschwitz concentration camp. That's all it gives us on a plot, and it's supposed to come out on December 8th. So apparently, this film though it could get in, but it also could miss. Like it might have a better chance in director because from what I hear, it's a very experimental film, and what they're tackling it's very different is what I hear. Like there's really no score until like the credits. There's all like no like there's a lot of like different stuff. Like so there's potential it could get in just based on the reception it's been getting alone. But then there could just be more of like a director play than screenplay or something like that. So we'll have to see.
My only concern for that movie would be that maybe like audiences don't connect with it the way critics do, because maybe they'll complain and say, from what I've heard is in the movie and what it's about. I mean, personally, I'm very interested to check out the movie,
Yeah.
but I can see a voter watching it and going, nothing happened in the movie, it was boring. So that would be my only concern for it.
Yeah, I could definitely see it like getting that kind of mixed
And
reception.
we usually get at least one foreign film into some of these categories, like screenplay, picture, that type of thing. So there's a shot. Zone of Interest could get in there, but there's another one that we will be talking about pretty soon. Now, we're not going to say what it is right now. We got something maybe coming up pretty soon. All right. Malcolm.
But yeah, this is one that I haven't taught myself into quite into, but what I think could get in just because I do think the screenplay of this is pretty good. But it's also a comic book movie, which means it could be on the outside looking in, but it's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I think this is I think the screenplay is really good. I think that the story that they tell and the beats they go on I think this could have a shot. It's one of those ones like I don't know, especially with only having 5 spots in the screenplay, it's really hard, but I think it still has a slight chance of getting in. So yeah, Spider-Man.
Hey, I had that in my 5, and I just took it off to put Barbie in. But if Barbie moves, I'm putting it back in my 5. Like
Yeah.
there's some real potential that could get in for adapted screenplay. I feel. So.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I will say on that note of Barbie was I don't mean to keep harping on that. Is like I had the same criticism like last year about Glass Onion being nominated and adapted because it's technically an original story just based on characters from at least one character from a previous movie. It's still got it adapted. So, and that's why I think like Barbie itself it's still, even though it's an original story set like using the character of Barbie, it's still based on character the character Barbie in a way. So that's kind of where I think the Oscars will probably end up going. But that's the last thing I will say as well.
I mean, I would agree with you. If it were up to me, I think that's an adapted.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Besides, I think if they try putting it original, it could be a detriment to that may not getting it. But Dan, what do you think is on the outside looking in for adapted screenplay?
Yeah, this is really hard. I'm going with a movie that's starting to get some screenings, and some people have seen it, and it's based on a true story, and it's kind of hit the zeitgeist of America by storm a couple years ago. This is like this probably ain't going to happen. So I'll tell you that right now. But I'm just grasping at straws here with something that could be, you never know. And I'm going to go with Dumb Money. I just don't know. You just don't know what is going to catch people's eye and what story is something that people might gravitate towards, and does the movie pique people's interest? And so I'm going to go with Dumb Money. I have no clue if this is something that people are going to go for or not, but I'm just going to take a stab in the dark and go for Dumb Money.
Luis, what do you think is on the outside looking in for adapted screenplay?
I'm gonna go with, you know what? I'm gonna go with a movie that's been getting pretty good reception at. I think it came out at TIFF, and also it showed up at Venice, and that's Ava. God, I always have trouble saying her last name.
DuVernay?
Yes, her new movie Origin, because there is a lot of talk that the novel that this movie is based off of is like unfilmable. So there's been a lot of praise to the fact that they were able to pull this off. So, but I'm at the same time, I think the movie may be a little bit too small, that it maybe ultimately it just ends up missing. So I think I can see a situation where it gets in, but I'm not really sure it's going to get in. So I'll say outside looking in, Origin.
Wolfman, what do you think is on the outside looking in?
Right now, on the outside looking in, and I'm not confident about it, but he won screenplay. I think at the 2020 Oscars. That was for the 2019 films. He won best screenplay there. Taika Waititi could go and do it again for Next Goal Wins. He could get nominated again for Next Goal Wins if this thing is a hit. We'll have to see how it is. I haven't read any of the reviews at TIFF yet. But
let me tell you something.
I mean, the reviews have been pretty mixed.
Yeah, let me tell. I wanted to bring this up, Wolfman, not to rain on your parade here. I've actually got text message last night at like 2 a.m. from a buddy of mine who saw Next Goal Wins, and he said it was nah. People that like inspirational sports movies are gonna like it. You're gonna like the humor, but as a whole, it's just a normal, regular kind of movie. It's not going to do anything to move the idol or the dial or whatever you want to call it. But Malcolm, I know he's looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. So I think normal people like us will probably like it, even though a couple of us are critics. There you go.
Yeah, but guess what else got mixed reviews at festivals, by the way?
What?
Jojo Rabbit. And it won best screenplay. It literally it was a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes when it first premiered at festivals. I remember that. And then it started to gain momentum when it came out, and audiences really loved that movie. And that was a big push for it. And then so that's what got it to where it was. And so I still think there could be potential for Next Goal Wins. The more that whenever it actually releases and the more news that we hear about it and stuff, if it goes the route of Jojo Rabbit again.
Hey,
about that.
Good luck. I think this category is stacked, though. I don't know if he's got a shot in this category. But
and I will say, Next Goal Wins. Like I remember seeing it just briefly before we went live. Like it premiered, it's currently 72% on Rotten Tomatoes. So like it's still got a. And like this was like if Don't Look Up can be nominated, and if Next Girl Wins is as mere as people say, then it could still have a chance at getting nominated.
I'm not confident in it. I don't think it's going to get in.
Oh,
I'm just saying
yeah,
this is like the
that's
outside
fair.
looking in. Yeah, like it could somehow sneak in there at some point if it gets momentum.
Yeah, that was going to be my pick for down the outside looking in.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
It's all right. I'm actually going to go to the one that I switched out because I really like to put Poor Things in. And it's actually a movie I haven't seen, but I've heard a lot about it. And it's Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Like I haven't seen it, but it's one of the. I've heard a lot of people praising this screenplay and saying that it's did a really good job of adapting that book. Yeah, so I'm probably going to try and see that at some stage, even though it's probably not a movie for me. But it's a movie I'm intrigued by. But yeah, but it's just one of those ones. Like I think if there's a surprise random nomination, I think it could be this one. But who knows? But I'm sorry for just typing that.
I mean, that's not a bad pick at all because I think if there's something that could come out of left field, this is the type of thing that could come out of left field. Because that was look, I didn't read the book, but I have heard. I was in a screening with all women and girls, and people were walking out of that movie saying, "Oh my God, that is so much like the book." They could not believe how close it was to the book. And so if there's something that could come out of left field, that could be the one. That could be the one. So that's not a bad pick at all. All right, so let's move on to original screenplay.
And just to because I feel like there's been so many times like that last one we were picking picking everyone else's. I'm going to go reverse order for a change.
Yeah, go for it, Malcolm.
Change it up. I'm not going to go for the one that I've got winning because I don't feel mean, and I know at least one person on this panel is probably going to pick that one. But I'm going to pick a movie that came out really early on, which I think it could still do have a lot of love come award season, and that's Ben Affleck's Air. I think it's like it is really good, and I rewatched this recently. I think the screenplay still holds up. So yeah, I think Air has a good chance of getting nominated. But Wolfman, what is your pick for Locke?
Not a bad pick because while I have Air just barely outside of my top 5, it's like 6 or 7 right now for me as far as will get in. I could definitely see that because they love the monologues, those kind of things, and the monologue Matt Damon gives, they love that in their screenplays. So I could definitely see that still sneaking in there, especially if it gets WGA or something like that. But the one that I have, so I just want to talk about this because it's still right now for me my number 1 movie of the year. It's the best movie.
I knew if you went your way first, you were going to pick it. If you went my way first, I was going to pick it. So go ahead, say it. Just say it. We know what you're going to say.
I'm going to go with Past Lives.
Yeah.
This is the best movie I've seen this year so far. It really touched me emotionally in a way that few films have on this level. I was all by myself in that theater, and I was just, but it almost made it better in a way because I was able to focus in on this and on its themes and just the messaging behind it, and it left me in tears, and I was just stood up and clapped. I gave it a standing ovation afterwards. I was like, hey, it's just me in this theater. I'll do that. I don't care. Like this film, it was so beautiful to me, and the screenplay. This film is getting a lot of like buzz again now. It's on VOD. Now it's available to watch on platforms like that. And I feel like it still has that like it's a quiet momentum. I feel to get it in there for best original screenplay. I think this one's one of the locks that we really have to look out for.
And
So.
not to cut Lewis off, but I'll tell you, when the film critics like Lewis and myself get our A24 packet in the mail last year, this is a big thing. Everybody wanted to get that whale screener in the mail, and when they got that whale screener, everybody was watching that whale screener. And I'm telling you right now, when we as film critics get that Past Lives, the ones that didn't see it, and they get a chance to see Past Lives, I think it's going to make a big difference, Wolfman. And I don't know. Lewis is the type of guy that would have seen Past Lives already, but I don't know.
Well, I actually haven't gotten around to it yet.
Oh wow!
I mean,
I
was just
Incredible.
Lewis will get his A24 packet in the mail, and I guarantee he's going to put that bad boy in there.
I mean,
Oh,
we know
yeah.
who Wolfman. I mean, we know who Wolfman talking about. It just came out on VOD. It's like it's only just came out in theaters here. What are you talking about?
In New Zealand.
But Louis,
I'm telling you, the whale got massive momentum when the going out to press.
And that actually helped it, I feel, with Brendan Fraser's win and with its and such. It was the momentum
that's going to be a massive thing for Past Lives. I feel it's my opinion. I could be completely wrong.
Right? Well, I think you're on something.
But Luis, what's your pick for lock for original screenplay?
Well, I'm going to go with every year we have a pretty simple crowd pleaser that gets into the race. And this one, though, I have been seeing it getting good reviews, even from people who tend to not be that wild about these kinds of movies. I'm actually going to go with The Holdovers because apparently people are absolutely praising the screenplay and the dialogue. It's honestly getting better reviews than I thought it was going to get. I thought people would be maybe a little bit more mixed on it, but there seems to be praise, even from like the types. Some of the film critics that I follow that typically like weren't high on Belfast or Green Book, even they are responding really well to this movie. And Alexander Payne, he does have a history with the Academy. Now I know that there's certain controversy regarding his past. I don't think that's really going to play a factor because it doesn't feel like it's an in the news thing at the moment. And I think the love and passion for the movie is going to override that. So I'm going to go with The Holdovers because I do think this has the potential to be a top 5 contender in picture.
That's a great one. I mean, as soon as you said it, Lewis, I was like, oh boy, he's right on the money on that. I think The Holdovers has got a very good shot at getting in there. But when I talked about a foreign film potentially getting in, I think it's down to basically 2: Zone of Interest and this film. Out of Cannes. This thing got all kinds of praise out of Cannes. It's a courtroom drama. It's split between foreign language and I think there's some English in there. I'm not sure. But I'm going to go with Anatomy of a Fall. I think these kind of courtroom dramas, the dialogue between the various lawyers and the judges and the people, I think that could play. I have not seen Anatomy of a Fall, so I have no idea if the script is any good. I'm just kind of I just have a good feeling about it. I don't know why. And we always get one foreign film into screenplay. We seem to always get one every year. And I'm going to go with Anatomy of a Fall.
And I'll tell you what, I don't get A24 screeners like y'all do, but I get Neon screeners. And I really hope that if I'm hoping it releases in theater near me, but if it doesn't, I'm definitely popping in that Neon screener of Anatomy of a Fall because that thing I'm so excited for. And it's a courtroom drama, and those are usually reliant on its screenplays. So
yeah, we get Neon screeners.
We'll
get the Neon book. We'll get the Neon book, even though mine came damaged last year. I'm pissed off about that.
Oh dang. Yeah.
So
Back to that
for
one.
my could possibly get in, I'm going to go for May December. This is once again without having really known much about this movie and all that, just from what everyone was saying about the trailer and that, kind of made me think that that might be one that could get in. And yeah, but Wolfman, what is your pick for could get in?
All right, so I mentioned one earlier that was a lot for screenplay, but I'm actually going to go something different here. All right, because even though I mentioned the one that from earlier, I'm actually going to go with Maestro. I think Maestro, from the reviews I've been hearing of Maestro, I've been hearing some really, actually surprisingly better things than I thought. Honestly, like Lewis said with the holders, I thought this film was going to be kind of like mixed, honestly. And then hearing the reviews out of it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually much better than I thought. Like, it had like an 84 on Metacritic. It's got like a 92 on Rotten Tomatoes. Last I checked, and it's got a pretty good average for it too. Like, from what I'm looking, the critics are really enjoying this film, and Netflix always has that one push in there, whether it's Roma, whether it's Marriage Story, whether it's whatever it is, they always have that one film that they are pushing super, super hard. And I think after the reviews of Maestro, I think that's going to be their biggest push, even bigger than May December. I think Bradley Cooper, because of the A Star Is Born thing that he had going on, how that got a lot of nominations, and how Bradley Cooper is in like winning conversations right now for Best Actor. I could definitely see them pushing this one, and Carey Mulligan too. She's in winning conversations for Best Actress. I could definitely see them pushing Maestro even as their biggest Oscar contender, and because of that, I could see it potentially getting on a screenplay. That's just how I see it.
But Luis, what are you going to pick for could get in?
I'm going to be very simple and quick with this and say Saltburn, because I can see this ending up being another contender for Fennell. I could also see it being just a movie that ends up being divisive and doesn't quite get in. So, but I do think it has a shot to get in. I can even see a situation where it doesn't get into picture, but it squeezes into screenplay. So that would be my pick, Saltburn.
Yeah, I think just auto-corrected to Salzburg. That's the weirdest thing. Why does it keep auto-correcting to Salzburg? I don't know why. That is the weirdest.
Maybe because you think you're trying to spell the German city of Salzburg.
All right, Malcolm. Jesus, I'm keeping a record of what we're doing, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Win. So it's kept on. That's the weirdest thing. All right, I'm going to go with a movie. We've had movies about civil rights and stuff like that in the past, and I think a big one. And if it goes along with the potential for Coleman Domingo to really get that nomination, I think you could argue that there's a potential for a screenplay nom in there for that, if there's a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good acting for Coleman Domingo. So I'm going to go with Rustin, the civil rights activist, that he's got a legit shot at making Best Actor, Coleman Domingo. So I'm going to go with Rustin.
It's so funny on that. I want to say, it's so funny. I think every single person, all the people I've talked to, had the exact same 5 this early on in award season for Best Actor, and it honestly scares me because now one of them has to get snubbed. Everyone has the same 5 of Bradley Cooper, Coleman Domingo, Paul Giamatti, Leonardo DiCaprio, and then
Cillian Murphy.
And then Cillian Murphy, yeah. Those 5. Literally everyone I talked to has those exact same 5 in just different orders. And it's just it makes me worried now that one of them is going to get snubbed. I mean, don't know who.
Honestly, I think the one if your theory is correct, I think the one that might be snubbed is Coleman, just because like he does. I mean, just the only reason I say that is purely for the fact that like they may think he could get nominated for supporting anyway. So if they want to spread the love a little bit, so like he may get in one or the other, maybe not both.
And also, if they decide to, because I have it very low in pitcher right now, but I have Maestro in pitcher. If they decide to push Maestro super, super hard, then that could overshadow them pushing Coleman Domingo or something. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll have to see. Bradley Cooper getting in instead. We'll have to see.
But anyway, moving on to the outside looking in. And for my pick for outside looking in, I'm going to pick a movie that I'm actually going to see today. And that's Asteroid City by Wes Anderson. Like Wes Anderson is one of those ones that's very all over the place when it comes to screenplays. Like I think because he didn't get screenplay for French Dispatch, did he? He didn't get nominated.
No, I don't think he did. For his movies, as of recent, Iowa Dogs got in for Best Animated Feature, but I believe that was it, if I remember correctly. I think.
Yes, so I think the last time he probably had a screenplay nomination was probably
Grand Budapest Hotel. I think.
Yeah. So it's so I think it's one of those ones. Like I think I've heard interesting things about the movie, like about the screenplay being a really good, but he's just like all his movies lately has been all over the place. Like aside from the people who just really don't like his style, but like even the ones that do like him, like with some of his later ones, like it was like I've seen some people like he tried to do too much, and so I definitely heard that a lot with French Dispatch. But I think if anything, just kind of brings Wes Anderson sort of back to maybe the path. I think Asteroid City could get in, but I don't know. I'm not confident on it. But
That's a
Wolfman, what
strength
do you?
of the film, Malcolm. That is the screenplay is a strength of the film, if you ask me. I think that's one of the
Oh
better
yeah,
things about the
yeah,
film.
for sure.
Yes.
It's in my opinion. This is my opinion. I saw it like early. I saw it like a week early. It was one of those like at the Alamo Draft House. It was pretty cool, but I think that film is maybe the best Wes Anderson film since Grand Budapest, in my opinion. I think like it was, and I think it's his most somber film and his most poignant film because of its themes of like, I'm not going to spoil it, but once you understand what its themes are, like it's one of his deeper films that he's made. So, and I feel like that's in part because of the screenplay. So,
All right.
So my pick. We had an animated one last time, so we're going to do another animated one. I'm going to pick The Boy and the Heron. I think that one, as far as outside looking in, if that's getting the reviews it's getting, and if audiences love it and critics love it, and everyone's just raving about this film, this could just be a surprise. Yeah, it may not get in for foreign film. That doesn't stop it from getting in from screenplay. It could be a surprise like screenplay competitor with animated feature. So you could see something in there for The Boy and the Heron. I think that's has some real potential, and another way that they could just honor Miyazaki and his work. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah. Before we go over to Louis, we did have someone put in the comments about that. And yeah. So The Boy and the Heron is at the moment on Gold Derby as original. But yeah, it's I think it will contend as original because I think if it's not based on the novel at all. I know there's rumors of it being based, but it's definitely not that I know of anyway.
Yeah.
But Luis, what's your outside looking in?
I'm gonna go with a movie that got some some praise coming out of Sundance and got picked up by Netflix. We should be seeing it pretty soon, and that's Fair Play, because I think that there's been a lot of talk about that movie being a really like it's been praised for its screenplay. I think I wouldn't be completely shocked if it somehow found a way to sneak in as sort of like that non-picture contender that sneaks into screenplay. But I would say right now it's on the outside looking in, because at the end of the day, Netflix has so many other things that it's pushing that I could easily see it kind of getting lost in the shuffle. So like what happened back in 2021 where they were pushing so many movies, and ultimately we saw like Ruth Negga didn't get in for Passing and stuff like that. So I think I think they're going to try to push this screenplay, but I currently think it's on the outside looking in.
And finally, Dan, what is your pick for being out on the outside looking in?
Boy, I don't have a lot. Lewis, you took mine. I was going to pick Fair Play. You know what? I'm just gonna. This is a shot in the dark, so this is why I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna go for Napoleon. I don't know. I mean, you just don't know what's gonna get in there, and some biopics have gotten a lot of love before, and if the screenplay is as good as the movie could possibly, they could go hand in hand. You could get like a multiple time type of thing going on with best actor, best screenplay, best director, or whatever. You don't know. I mean, I'm just grasping at straws here. I don't know exactly what could happen. I'm just picking. This is way down on the list. Sometimes things fall off and other things jump up when things fall off. But this is probably not going to happen, but you just never know. So I'm just going to go with Napoleon.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like, that's our predictions for like what we think the screenplay category could shake out to be. Like, it's one of those ones like, depending on circumstances, like maybe Barbie gets moved into original, maybe like things happen, movies get pushed. Who knows? It could change a lot by the time we sort of get more into depth of it. And for some of these movies, like I believe some of these are screening at TIFF. I'm not 100% sure,
Yes,
but we'll get. But we'll find out more reactions from TIFF when that finishes. Like, I don't know. Do TIFF do awards as well?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Yes. In fact,
Yeah.
the People's Choice at TIFF is a big
It's
sign
a big
of what will get nominated.
red flag on what could potentially be a best picture. That's what Green Book won.
Yeah.
Yes. So, so I believe TIFF finishes around the 17th. So the next episode on will be talking about TIFF, the stuff that has come out on TIFF, and we'll also be talking about our picks for supporting actors. But that is the end of Gone with the Wind for today. Go start. Wolfman, where can people find you online?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, Mega Movies. I also run my own award show on there, awards talk show, awards roundtable. We've had Dan on for an episode of it, talking about the Barbie and Oppenheimer chances. And soon we're going to talk about we might wait until TIFF happens and just kind of break down all the awards at all the festivals and then all fall festivals and just kind of say which films of those festivals we could see potentially getting in at the Oscars and such. So that'll be something to look out for. Also on my channel, I am doing do a lot of reviews and such. I'll be doing a lot of horror reviews soon. This month, I've already started my horror reviews, and I do that leading up to the spooky season. So you guys can look forward to more of that, and then also our buddy Austin and we host a drinking game every month, and this month we're doing Tommy Wiseau's The Room, so that'll be fun to do a drinking game of that. So there's just a few little plugs I have of stuff coming up on the channel that y'all can look forward to. And I might even do a surprise review tomorrow for one of my favorite films. It turns 30. Y'all won't know what it is until I watch it. I might just do a surprise review because I love the film so much. But that's just something I'm throwing out there. So, yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff coming up on the channel. So definitely check it out.
And Luis, we can move for you online.
Well, just go to mendesmoviereport.com. It'll take you directly to my Substack. Also, if you are on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, Threads, or on Letterboxd, Mendes Movie RPT, you'll find me there. You'll see my reactions to new movies as they come out. I'm getting ready to start doing a best of list of like old classic films and such. Hoping to get my YouTube channel going as well. But yeah, mendesmoviereport.com, you'll find all my stuff there.
And Dan, where can people find you online?
Oh, you can find me at my name, Dan Skipal, on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd. I am on X. I'm not doing a whole lot over there. I don't know if I'm going to keep X or not, but also, I'm a film critic in Orlando, Florida. You can find me at fromthefourthrow.com or at disappointmentmedia.com. Those are the two sites that I write for. Also, I'm in the midst of a 5-part series, My Life, My Love, 50 Years in Film, where myself and a guest break down 10 years of my life. And I pick my 10 favorite films from that span, and my guests pick theirs. Also, it's a multi-platform project where I write reviews of every one of the movies from each one of the years on my website. So I'll have each set of 10 in an article on my website. And the 4th episode should come out sometime in October. Also, it goes to Letterboxd as well. I have the entire list of movies on Letterboxd, and then I'm going to put the link to each one of the reviews in the Letterboxd of each movie. So you could, it's a multi-platform project that I'm doing celebrating 50 years of existence and love of movies. So that'll be out there. You can constantly see those when I post that stuff. Also, I've been doing a lot with the Movie Hero Network. I don't know if I'm on tomorrow or not. We're doing a mystery movie bracket tomorrow. I'm going to be on the Batman bracket on the 4 Batman on Friday. I just did my 64 favorite movies of all time the other day, which it went pretty good. I mean, I just was a little bit upset about one thing that happened, but otherwise than that, it went pretty good. I don't have too much to be upset about regarding my bracket. Wolfman was on there. Yeah. And that I'm on every week with Malcolm. We're going to be going weekly come October. So we probably have one more bi-weekly episode. And then October, we're going to be weekly for Gone with the Wind. We're going to really be getting into the swing of things. And we're going to revisit these screenplay categories down the road. So stay tuned.
And you can find me on Take Productions. I host Ranking every Sunday. Next week we're doing top 12 Stanley Tucci movies. And you can also find me on Gone for the Wind. I pop up on the Movie Hero Network from time to time. I'm also going to be on Battle of the Batman on Friday. And I also host trivia over on Full Metal. I can't remember what match is going to drop this week, but you'll be surprised when it drops because something's going to drop. And
is it Anthony Chavez? Is it Anthony Chavez and somebody or no?
No, that dropped.
All right,
that's already dropped.
All right, never mind.
But until then, that is the end of Gone with Things this week. I will go out on this one.
I'm just a huge fan of the sport.